Today, let's talk about a topic that might give you a completely different perspective on cravings. This isn't just about sugar, it's about our brains and what can be called a reproductive, very ancient survival code deeply embedded in our genes. So, let's get straight to the point. Have you ever had this feeling where nothing is particularly wrong, but suddenly an intense urge comes over you? You must have something sweet. It really feels like your brain has been hijacked. If you have experienced this internal battle, the first thing I want you to know is that this is genuinely not your fault. It has absolutely nothing to do with how strong your willpower is. In fact, what you are experiencing might be a survival program that has been running in our bodies for over 50 years. Think about it. A program that used to save our lives in ancient times might now, unknowingly, be causing us all sorts of trouble. So, what exactly is going on? The story begins a long time ago, around 50 years back. Let's imagine you are a primitive human living in the Stone Age. Your most important task every day upon waking is finding food. You might not have eaten well for days and have very little energy, but suddenly you get incredibly lucky and discover a tree full of ripe fruit or an entire beehive full of honey. In that moment, this high-energy fructose is nothing short of a life-saving elixir. Your body will immediately snap into a very special survival mode. Let's call this the survival switch. Here's a fascinating, somewhat counterintuitive point. When you consume fructose, the energy in your cells, your ATP, doesn't immediately increase. In fact, it temporarily drops. It's counterintuitive, right? But this brief energy dip perfectly mimics the state of starvation. Essentially, it tricks your body into thinking, oh my God, we are about to starve. And just like that, this switch is flipped on. Once this switch is activated, what happens? Your behavioral patterns immediately change. You become more impulsive, more risk-taking, and make decisions faster and more decisively. Simultaneously, you become intensely curious about new things in your surroundings and are driven by a very strong motivation to find more food. In an era where food was extremely scarce, wouldn't these behaviors significantly increase your chances of survival? Absolutely. So, you see, the survival switch was a stroke of genius in the past. But let's fast forward to today. Why is this former lifesaver now acting like a stuck, malfunctioning device, constantly causing us trouble? Look at this contrast. It's astonishing. Our ancestors might have only had access to a little bit of fructose for a few weeks out of the entire year. But us, sugary drinks, processed foods, the fructose in the cereal we eat for breakfast, seeds available 24/7, 365 days a year. We can have as much as we want. So, what's the result? That survival switch, which was supposed to turn on occasionally only in emergencies, is now almost constantly in the on state because we are constantly flooding our bodies with fructose. This means your body is continually being misled. It still thinks it's living in the Stone Age, on the brink of starvation, always feeling like we are facing famine. This perfectly explains why so many people completely crash around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. You must have experienced this. Your brain suddenly feels like mush and won't work. You become irritable, and the only thought is, I need a snack, right now, immediately. In reality, this is your ancient foraging impulse quietly protesting to you. So, how exactly does this brain hijacking play out in our bodies? It's like a row of dominoes, one leading to the next. Let's delve into this biological chain reaction. The process goes like this. First domino. When fructose is metabolized, it produces a byproduct called uric acid. Second domino. The uric acid travels to your brain and causes mild inflammation in an area called the hypothalamus, which is the command center for our appetite. Third domino. This inflammation leads to a condition called leptin resistance. Leptin is the signal that tells us, hey, I'm full. The final domino. The brain can no longer hear this I'm full signal. It's like there's a spy lurking in your brain, dedicated to sabotage, intercepting all the satiety information the body sends, and constantly whispering in your ear, eat a little more, we are still hungry and need more energy. The result is that the survival switch gets jammed firmly in the on position. Now, this next point is very important. If this switch stays on, the long-term consequences are quite serious. Some studies suggest that this persistent metabolic stress in the brain can slowly lead to brain shrinkage and a reduction in neurons. It has even been linked to known behavioral issues like ADHD and some symptoms of bipolar disorder. I know hearing this might feel a bit heavy, but the good news is that once we understand the rules of the game, we have the chance to take back control. So, the content that follows isn't meant to make you feel guilty. It's meant to empower you with knowledge. Let's start with the simplest thing, fruit. If you drink fruit juice, the fructose inside is like a bomb exploding instantly in your body. But if you eat a whole apple, it's much better because the fiber slows down the sugar absorption. What's the best choice? When eating an apple, pair it with some protein, like a few nuts or a little yogurt. This provides the best buffer effect. The second point is that starting today, we need to learn to be detectives when reading food labels. Pay close attention to the various pseudonyms for sugar, such as high fructose, corn syrup, glucose, sucrose, and all sorts of syrups and fruit juice concentrates. If these items are listed near the beginning of the ingredient list, you need to be very cautious. Honestly, reducing this added sugar initially might be quite painful. Your survival switch will throw a tantrum like a spoiled child protesting. But the good news is that if you can just push through about a week, your brain chemistry will start to reset itself. You'll find, as shown in the diagram, that your craving for sugar will significantly decrease. Also, exercise really helps, especially moderate aerobic exercise lasting about 45 minutes, what we call Zone 2 cardio. How do you know if you're doing it right? Simple. You should be able to hold a conversation with someone next to you while exercising without being too out of breath. This type of exercise has been proven to help repair the powerhouses of our cells, the mitochondria, reversing some of the damage caused by sugar. If you want to start making changes, try this simple 2-week challenge. Observe. Just observe. Don't judge yourself. Notice when you usually get cravings or brain fog. Reduce. Don't overdo it. Start by removing just one type of sugary food you eat most often from your diet. Substitute. When that craving hits, try leaving the area and going for a 5 to 10 minute walk. Break the old cycle. Finally, I want to share a very crucial mental tool. The next time you feel that almost irresistible urge, stop first. Ask yourself one question in your mind. Am I truly hungry right now? Or is my 50,000-year-old program just auto-playing? Just asking yourself that, just being able to identify it, creates a space between you and the impulse. And that space is where you reclaim your choice. Before we finish, I want to leave everyone with a question to ponder deeply. Since we now know that sugar has such a deep connection to our most primal survival instincts, besides influencing what we eat, could this sweet trap also be quietly affecting our daily decision-making, our moods, and even our interpersonal relationships in ways we haven't noticed?